All right, everyone. Right where we left off, we just finished creating that enormous list of layers. What I want to show you guys now is we need to create dimensions, or at least we need to create a style that our dimensions will adhere to. So I'm going to type DDIM at the command prompt, push return. Now, standard is just one of those things that it's there. I mean, there's kind of no way to get around it. What I want, and it's going to be ugly, and I want it to be ugly because the things that I don't want to use, the things that I know aren't set according to the standard that I want to use, I'm going to leave them ugly so that they look like I don't want to use them. So I'm going to click annotative. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say set to current. So I want to modify all the variables associated with this dimension style. So I come over here and click modify. Excuse me. I come here and click modify. Okay. Lines and symbols and all this. There's most of this you're not going to have to worry about. I mean, we can go deep in the weeds, but we don't need to. I'm going to come back to this tab because I need to modify that variable there, but I can't until I change a setting here. So under symbols and arrows, under arrowheads, first, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to find architectural tick, and I'm going to select that. It selected my second one. That's totally fine. I will come down to my arrow size, and this is going to be 3/32. My center mark I will leave as a mark, and it will be 3/32. Break size is an 1/8 inch, that's fine. Arc length symbol proceeding, that's fine. Jog angle at 45, that's fine. Jog height factor at 1.5 inch times the text height, that's fine. The only thing I really needed to change on this tab was close filled, the architectural tick, the arrow side, and make sure I was using mark. So I'm done with symbols and arrows. I'm going to go back to lines. Now I can change this variable here. Extension line beyond the tick marks is 1/16 of an inch. Baseline spacing is 1/4 of an inch. Everything else on the left-hand side of this dialog stays the way it is, and I'm only going to change this item here, extend beyond dimension lines, 1/16, offset from origin. The handout says 1/8. That is a misprint. That's supposed to be 3/32. Okay, we're done with that. We're looking at symbols and arrows. We've already changed that value, so we go to text. I come over here. I want to change my text style from standard, which is that nasty, ugly looking thing, to Arial narrow. Now my text height is grayed out because it's been forced into 3/32. That's perfectly fine. That's what I want. Fraction text height is set at set at a value of 1. I have to make this change at another spot. I'll show you exactly where to make that change. Text placement, vertical is not center, vertical is above. As you see me make these changes, you will see the preview in this area begin to update, and that's really, really handy. Horizontal is centered, that's fine. View direction left to right is fine. Offset from line is not 3/32 of an inch, it is 1/32 of an inch. Text alignment is aligned with dimension line. We're done with all the variables here in the text field. We go over to fit. I'm changing fit options to both text and arrows. Text placement, when text is not in the default position, place it over the dimension line with a leader. And I want to make sure and turn annotative on. It should already be on, but I want to make sure that it's on. Fine tuning, place text manually, draw a dimension line between extension lines. We're not modifying those. Primary units. You notice we set up architectural in configuring the units for the drawing. We can even set up metric for this particular drawing if we wanted to. We're not going to. We're going to use architectural, and our precision is going to be 1/8 of an inch. Even though our units dialog specifies that we're going to measure to the 32nd of an inch, when we dimension, it's going to report to the closest 1/8 of an inch. I figured that's enough precision that we need to deal with. Our fraction format isn't horizontal, it's going to be diagonal. Down here under zero suppression, I want 0 inches to be shown in my dimensions. If something is 4 feet 0 inches, I want that 0 inches visible. I do not want to see 0 feet 3 inches. As it says so, I mean, as I'm holding my mouse here, you can see the little help option is coming on. It's exactly what I want. Decimal degrees with the precision, just no decimal points and no zero suppression in angular distances is fine. We come over here to alternate units. Again, this is if we wanted to show both imperial and metric on the same dimension string. It's possible to do that. We're not going to do that. I'm only including this tab just so that you know what's included here. We're not making any changes. I come over to tolerances. I change scale for height to 0.75. And what that does, if I come back over to primary units, nope, not primary units, text, there it is, fraction height scale, that changed that value and allowed us to make modifications to it. All it did is when we're stacking fractions together in our dimension string, whoa, I do not want to draw a frame around the text. When we're drawing fractions, or not when we're drawing, but when the dimension line is reporting fractions in that string, it shrinks the size of the text just a little bit. It's just aesthetically a little more pleasing. That's just totally my opinion. But you know what? This is my class. I'm setting up the rules, so there you go. There we go. Those are all the settings that we need for our dimensions. We are done setting our dimensions. We will click OK, and we will click Close. The last thing that we're going to do here is I'm going to type Save As at the command prompt. The reason I'm typing Save As instead of Save, incidentally, it's this little icon right here. It's the save icon with a little pencil mark on it. It's going to allow me to change the file format that I'm using. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click DWT. Now this instantly whisks me away to where AutoCAD is configured to save all of its templates. It can be a pretty handy thing, but since you're bouncing back and forth between machines, you are going to need to know where this template lives. So I'm going to come back up to where I have all my documents saved. And I'm actually going to save this here. And I'm going to call this UNT CVAD. And click Save. Now if I open, oh yes, I'm getting a template option. This allows me to put a description on my template. I'm going to save all my layers as reconciled. It's a little thing. It basically means if new layers are created and they don't conform to the template, then your CAD manager, if they open the file, they know that you are using layers that they haven't supplied you. And so it gives them an opportunity to review those layers and make sure that they conform to the standards. It's a little bit of a CAD management tool. Hopefully we won't be doing too much of that. Okay, the description here is, let's just call this project template for UNT CVAD, and we'll be done with it. Click OK. My template file has been saved. You can see that I've got it sitting up here. Now, for those of you who are really familiar with the Mac side, you're not as familiar with Windows 10, if you do not have this little folder-looking icon down here, if you hold down, now I'm assuming you're running either Boot Camp or Parallels at this point, if you hold the Command key and then push E, then it will launch the Windows Explorer, which is basically the Finder for the Explorer. I'm running this on Parallels, which is why you can see all my Mac side the stuff that's happening here. I saved this. You can see right here it's saved to OneDrive. So if I look at my documents, which is in my OneDrive, and I look at my CVAD blocks, which are all the blocks we created the other day, you can see I have an AutoCAD template. This is what we just created. And then these are all the blocks that we created in the last couple of exercises. If you want to keep this icon down on the bottom, if you don't have it kept down on the bottom, you can right-click on it now. Come on, there it is. And I have mine pinned to the taskbar, but you should have an option here that says Pin to Taskbar, and that just means when you close this window, it'll still live there. It's kind of like adding a Finder window icon to your dock. It's the equivalent thereof. So there we go. We have saved our project template, And in the next example or the next video, we're going to use this template to create the project title block that we'll use for pretty much all the future projects we're doing in the remainder of class. So there we go. I've saved it, and I'm going to close everything down. We'll see you guys later.